Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we're from group 3, want to present about language change and variation for English Global in ELT assignment. And firstly, we want to thank you for Mr. Ruli that already gave this assignment so that we could understand this material better. So without any further ado, the first material will be presented by Novia Sada. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. And welcome everyone to our presentation about language change and variation. Okay, today we will explore how languages evolve over time and the impact of contact between different languages spoken. Next slide. Okay, the first one is understanding language change. To begin, it is essential to understand that all languages are in a constant state of change, and this change can affect various aspects of language, including pronunciation, orthography, or spelling, grammar, vocabulary, and pragmatics. And the rate of change can vary significantly. It can be substantial or small, sudden or gradual. Next slide, Okta. Okay, there are two primary types of language change. The first one is diachronic, and the second one is synchronic. Uh, the first one, diachronic change, refers to incremental change that occur over long periods. For example, speakers of modern English often find it challenging to understand Middle and Old English that to a significant change in syntax and morphology over the countries. On the other hand, synchronic change occurs suddenly, often as a result of language contact between different linguistic communicate. Okay, next slide.
Okay, now we talk about internal versus external change.
When we discuss language change, it is crucial to differentiate between internally driven uh, internally driven, known as endogenous change, and externally driven change refer to exogenous change. And internally driven change arise from the language system itself, such as the optimization of articulatory space, stabilization, and regularization. And in content, externally driven changes are influenced by speakers from different language, like from different language background or dialects, leading to the adoption of new word sounds and structures. Okay, next slide. And we talk about example of language change. Historical examples of language change illustrate this concept well. For instance, the past tense of the verb work changed from work to worked, and the formation of plurals has also simplified over time. For example, pronunciation change are evident as well. The Old English word like halafordum was simplified to Lord for easy pronunciation. And next slide. So we talk about language context. Language context is another critical factor in linguistic variation and change. English in particular has been influenced by contact with numerous languages, including French, Latin, Old Norse, and Celtic languages. This contact has resulted in the borrowing of words and structures, so enriching the English language. Okay, next slide. So in this slide, we talk about code switching and code mixing. Code switching occurs when speakers switch between languages during conversation, while code mixing involves incorporating elements from one language into another within phrase. Now, for example, code switching. A speaker might say, "Kemarin saya pergi ke mall and I saw a really nice dress." In this example, the speaker switch from Indonesian to English when describing the dress, reflecting the language used in the specific context. So, example of code mixing, a speaker might say, "Saya mau order pizza untuk dinner malam ini." Nah, here the speaker mix Indonesian and English by using the Indonesian structure while interesting the English verb order. Nah, order into the sentence. Okay, I think in conclusion, language change is a complex process influenced by various factors, including contact with other languages. Understanding these dynamics help us appreciate the richness and the diversity of language today. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your attention, and I will give it back to moderator.
Alright, thank you Novia Sada for your explanation. The next material will be delivered by Rahma Mareta. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. So for the next material, we will discuss about levels of variation. So English is varied at all levels of language. Next slide. First is dialect, accent, variety, or language. So dialects denote a geographical subdivision of a language form and is usually associated with a region. However, in addition to regional distinctions, dialect variation can also be influenced by a number of factors including class, social group, ethnic group, age group, and gender. On the other hand, accent relates to pronunciation or the sound speaker produces and other prosodic variation that accompany sound, but dialect includes its grammar and vocabulary. Next slide. Now, sounds. In terms of sounds, the Englishes of the world differ markedly from each other. Written English is not good indicator of the sounds of the English language as it is not always easy to predict how a word is pronounced from its spelling. The International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA, is a language-neutral system of phonetic symbols that has been developed to describe sound variation in a systematic and unambiguous way, and this also be used here. In vocabulary, lexical variation and word choice and usage are commonly known differences in the Englishes of the world. Some examples include the following. Variety-specific compounds such as salaryman or company employee in Japan, and there's also same meaning but different words such as jumper in UK and sweater in North America. And there's also semantic extension where terms are assigned new meanings in addition to their original one. For example, in Malawi, the verb to move takes on various meanings. Example, moving with my cousin means dating. And on the other hand, moving is socializing. Next one is abbreviation, where words are shortened, such as afternoon to arvo and barbecue to Barbie in Australia. And there's also blending, where parts of words are combined, such as district park, which stands for a distribution park or a warehouse complex in Singapore. And last one is borrowing, where words are taken from another language to describe new phenomena, local environments, or culture. For example, of food such as sushi from Japan, vodka from Russia, pizza from Italy, and alcohol from Arabic. Next is spelling. Differences, for example, the differences of spelling in British and American, like in traveling, there's just only one L in American, but There are double L in British. And also center in America, center is Center, but in British it's spelled Centre. Next, grammar syntactic variation. Variation is also exists in grammar. Include the following. First one is additive differences, where many outer circle and expanding circle speakers turn uncountable nouns into countable nouns. For example, information, stuff becomes stuff. Second one is tense and aspect, where speakers use different forms. For example, where Americans may use the simple past tense "did you eat," but British speakers may use the present perfect "have you eaten." And last one is labeling of irregular verb forms. For example, in America, spoiled is used for the past tense instead of spoiled in the UK. Last one is pragmatics. It is also important to point out differences in pragmatics, which involves how language is used and conventions on how to behave. For example, greetings. In some Asian countries, people may greet you by asking, "Have you eaten?" And also, nonverbal communication also varies, such as Indian signal yes by nodding their head sideways, which is often mistaken from a no elsewhere. I think that's it. I'll give it back to moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Rahma Mareta for the explanation. The next material will be delivered by Neng Octaviani. Neng Octaviani, time is yours.
Yeah, thank you to the moderator. And I will explain about pigeons and creoles. What are pigeons and creoles? Pidgin is a simplified language that develops when people from different language backgrounds need to communicate. It has a limited vocabulary and simplified grammar. Pidgins are not anyone's native language. They are used only as a second language for communication. And a creole forms when a pidgin is learned as a first language by a new generation. Over time, it gains more complex grammar and vocabulary, making it a fully developed language. Creoles are spoken naturally, just like any other language, and they continue to evolve with their communities. Okay, and common misconception. There is a common misconception that pigeons are just bad English or random words thrown together. In reality, pigeons uh, follow linguistic rules, even though they are simpler than fully developed languages. Creoles, on the other hand, are complete languages just like English, Spanish, or Chinese. And example of pigeons and Creoles. English-based Pidgin and Creoles are spoken around the world, especially in former colonized. For example, Tok Pisin in Papua New Guinea started as a Pidgin but is now an official language. And Jamaican Patois is a Creole that developed from English mixed with African languages. Next is types of Creoles. Creoles are often classified based on their origins. First, Fort Creoles developed in trading centers where English was used as a common language for communication. These Creoles often retain influences from local languages. And plantation Creoles, on the other hand, developed in colonial plantation where slaves from different backgrounds had to communicate with each other. These creoles evolved more quickly because they were used daily within the community as a primary language. Characteristic of Pidgins and Creoles. Pidgins and Creoles simplify grammar to make communication easier. For example, in many Creoles, there is no distinction between singular and plural verbs, like he go instead of he goes. Creoles also borrow words from different languages, such as Rokoman in Seranan Tongo Creole, which means worker, is a mix of English and African influences. The sentence structure is often direct, so instead of saying, "Did you see her?" speakers may say, "You see her," making it more efficient. And theories of Creole development. There are several theories about how Creoles developed. First, the baby talk theory suggests that European colonized colonizers simplify their language to communicate with non-native speakers. However, linguists crit- criticize this theory because creoles have complex structures. The superthreat theory suggests that creoles borrow grammar from local languages, subthreat, and vocabulary from colonial languages, superthreat. Another theory is universal grammar theory, argues that all human languages, including Creole, develop based on innate rules in the human brain. And the last is the decreolization and language attitudes. Over time, some creoles become more like the dominant language, a process called decreolization. For example, in some Caribbean countries, Jamaican patois is becoming more similar to standard English due to education and media influence. In the past, creoles were seen as incorrect or broken languages, but today they are recognized as rich, complex languages that reflect history and culture. That's all from me. I'll give it back to moderator.
Alright, thank you, Neng Otaviani. And then the last material will be presented by me about standard language ideology, identity, and ownership. And next slide. Okay, so the first thing is standard language ideology in ENL countries. So, standard language ideology is the way people think about standard language. Historically, English has undergone change and variation, but is still regulated through policies, dictionaries, and education system. Received pronunciation in England and General American in the US are widely used standard models, although their use is decreasing. So, for a long time, there have been attempts to standardize spelling, grammar, and pronunciation. For example, through dictionaries such as those created by Samuel Johnson and Noah Webster. So, what is received pronunciation? It becomes a symbol of high social class, while in America there is no one accent that is considered the most correct. However, over time, the view of the standard language began to change due to the global variation in the use of English. Next slide. And then about the ownership or the expanding circle. Who really has English? So, English is often considered to belong the country of native speakers, ENL, English as a native language. Non-native English is considered a less legitimate version. And then, as a result, English variation from non-native speakers are often considered less legitimate or broken. In fact, the language is always evolving, and that means users from various countries have contributed in that evolving process, and this attitude towards language ownership is very influential in the world of education and language policy. Next slide. And then, what is the future of standard English ideology that we can predict? About the identity one, the specific identity and the standardization of language. So, in some countries such as Japan and China, is often associated with national identity. It can form stereotypes and limit acceptance of language variation. And on ELF shows there is no one form of English that is truly standard, because the language continues to evolve according to the communicative needs of its user. With the increasing use of English in various international communities, more and more people are realizing that the language is not only belongs to the native speaker, but also everyone who use it. Uh, so the conclusion is the future of English. There is no standard that there is no standard, even if it comes from native speaker. I think it's enough from us from group 3. Thank you for your attention. Hope this material is useful for you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.